Hi there, hope you're all doing well. This week I'm taking a look at the Valkyr from the Ravaged Star Kickstarter. This is a 3D print though, not the actual PVC minis. They have an option to download one mini from each faction for a painting contest. So I figured I'd give it a go and give it a bit of a speed paint, at least compared to the several hours I would normally take to paint for a competition. It was black and white zenithally primed, and like I started with magenta over all of the armor panels. This mini took a fair amount of time, so I will be cutting some bits a bit shorter than they normally would be, just so that you're not sitting there watching me paint pink for the next 5 minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. You can also join Discord using the link in the description, where you can share anything you have been working on. Next up, I went back over all of the armor panels again with hot pink. This covers a good chunk of the armor, just leaving that darker magenta in the shadows and the recesses. Being a chaos-inspired marine, she is covered in trim and detail, which all gets done with Death Reaper, and since I had this colour out, I went over the weapons as well. The first highlight on the black gets done with Rodent Grey, giving it a bit of that warm tone but still bringing up these sections of the trim. I don't go for a normal highlight on these parts though, I went for more of a non-metallic metal but not quite all the way there. So the highlights are placed tactically but not fully as if I was painting metallics. For the next highlight on the trim, I used Reddish Grey, just to push the parts that have already been highlighted up further, just in the centres of these parts. Finishing off the highlights and base coating the fabric, I went with Warm Grey. To get started with the fabric highlights, I grabbed a rock grey and went over all of the raised parts of the fold. Since I had this out, I added a few dots on the trim as well, just on the very tips of the corners. Bringing more of the tops of the folds up, I used Grimy grey to really make them pop out. Pushing an even smaller part of the edges and the tips, I went over with Ivory Tusk. I wanted to push the edges and the tops of the folds even further, so I grabbed Offwhite and went over them. Ivory Tusk wasn't bad, but it didn't quite have that punch that I wanted in this. To get the bone parts base coated, I went with Dragon Fang. Pushing the bones up some more, I added Skeleton Legion, just starting about a third of the way up. Finishing off the bones, I added some Vampire Fang to the very tips. I I think the armor needed a little bit more, so I grabbed Neo Pink, just brought up some of the parts that would be getting hit by the light and some of the edges. The base has a lot of sculpted detail on it, so I went over it with black Lotus Xpress color. This brings out all of that detail and gives it a nice blue tint to help contrast with the pink. For all of the black parts except for the trim, I used a wash of Oblivion black wash. This is just mostly to blend those highlights. And that would be it for the Valkyr. For about an hour painting, she didn't come out too bad. I don't think I could do an entire army like this though, but I do like the scheme for maybe a skirmish team in the future. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. You could also join Discord using the link in the description, where you can share anything you have been working on. As always, if you want a closer look at this mini, check out my Instagram page. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Most importantly though, be kind to each other.